Because this coronavirus, here's the latest update. 910 people are dead. That's making the outbreak deadlier than that of the SARS epidemic in 2003. More than 40,000 people worldwide are now infected, and the ripple effect is across the business landscape as well. That's one of the things we cover, and you're seeing it. Factories operated by Foxconn, China's largest employer, and a major Apple contractor remain closed today after Chinese authorities reportedly rejected its proposal to resume operations, citing fears over the outbreak. And e-commerce giant Alibaba is extending its holiday break through February 16th or later. Airbnb is suspending its bookings in Beijing, in this case through the rest of February because of the outbreak. The company says it will refund canceled reservations. And Kia Motors is suspending production at its South Korean plant due to plant shortages. Linked to the outbreak, Eunice Yoon continuing to do great work for us. She's monitoring the situation live in Beijing. Eunice, what can you tell us?
Well, Joe, companies are dealing now with a conflicting tangle of policies that vary from province to province and city to city that, for the most part, are keeping a lot of factories closed. So most factories now are being required to provide prevention measures, and very strict ones. So, for example, factories need to quarantine workers that come in from other areas, so migrant workers, and also to source enough masks and goggles for every single worker. And it was only after they have these restrictions in place that they can actually apply to the local authorities to reopen. So some areas are also putting in outright production date delays as late as March 1st. And that said, some factories did reopen today. I was speaking to the folks over at Ford today, and they said that their plants in Chongqing and Hangzhou have resumed operations, though they are not running at full capacity. Also, Tesla reopened its Shanghai factory. The local media had spotted staff going into the facilities in a bus wearing masks, as well as all security people there. Chinese tech names also being very cautious. Most of them are asking their staff to work from home at least for another week or two. And I think all of this just shows that the situation here is not going to go back to normal for quite some time.
Yeah, thank you. Eunice, just being on the ground there, is there any feeling that we're approaching what people are looking for in terms of the peak, and then it starts to subside from there? Or are we still on an up? There's no way to know, I guess. Is there, Eunice?
It's really, yeah. I mean, it's really difficult to know because it's not as though the situation. Most people are focused on what the situation in Wuhan, and so the epicenter of the outbreak, and the stories that are coming out of there sound even worse than before. And so, because the situation is so dire there, a lot of the focus has been on just how bad the spread is going to be. Over the weekend, a lot of the hospitals were sending staff to Wuhan to try to get a handle on the situation. There's also been a lot of concern about the communities outside of Wuhan. So there's some smaller cities now that are getting badly infected, and there's a lot of talk about their lockdowns in these cities, and that these cities don't have the infrastructure, the health care infrastructure that Wuhan has. So that's really worrying people about the spread of this virus.
Do we know how many people have left Wuhan and like a diaspora all over the world? I saw this, I don't know, I didn't go into the article itself, but that there are a lot of people that are left that are unaccounted for that may be all over China or actually in other parts of the world. Do we know that?
Well, we know what the mayor had said from Wuhan. He had said that he believed 5 million people had left. So this was because of the Lunar New Year holiday, and also once they heard about the lockdown. So we know that there are millions of people from Wuhan who have been traveling around, and that's, again, most of them probably are in China, but it's right. Something that's worrying a lot of the people here because it's just seen as so contagious.
I was amazed at how recent everything is. We're talking a matter of weeks, and it seems like we've been talking for a while. So you would hope maybe when that 14-day incubation period is up. A lot of the people that left, either there are pockets of Wuhan that, or of coronavirus that you're going to see, or there aren't. So maybe we'll get some more clarity in the next couple of weeks or so.
Yeah, but I think what is also concerning people here is that it looks as though the virus is moving person to person. Also, there are some reports that in Europe, there could be a situation of a super spreader where there was one person there's a group of people in Europe that looks like they became infected by a British national who was traveling to Singapore, and that none of them actually had gone to China. So because it just seems to be jumping from human to human, we don't really know, the extent of the spread in China. And that's, again, what people are worried about here, despite the fact that the government continuously says that things are largely under control. In fact, President Xi Jinping was featured very heavily in the state press tonight, traveling around a hospital in Beijing to show that China has the situation contained.